Hello, and welcome back to part 10 of the USS Arizona model build. It's the 1/200 scale model manufactured by Trumpeter, and we are into step 24 in the instructions here. This is the base assembly of what will be the forward tower or mast. And this will go on to attach to the upper deck. Now this goes over a few parts. Go to 25, and then we go into building the tower, or the second mast, to go on top of it. And then it continues on to all the bits and pieces and the detail stuff to step 28. And then it looks like we finally get to pull out the ship itself and start looking at what's going on the deck. All the sub-assemblies will be made. So this is where we're at, 24, step 24, and I have to refer to my Photo-etch here. We've got a few bits and pieces that will need to go on, some doors and hatches on some containers inside. This is the piece here. I've just got one side drying, glued on. It's upside down, so that's the way it's going to go on the ship. So there'll be a centerpiece in here, which is what I've got the parts for here. There's a couple of doors on here I'll have to remove to replace with Photo-etch. Some more on there as well. So I'll sand those off and glue those together. Then there'll be a couple of little containers that will go in here that need Photo-etch put on top of them. And I think there's some stairs in there somewhere as well. Somewhere in here we've got some stairs that are going up. So we'll check on that. The deck this attaches to is here. And I've just test fitted to make sure that it's going to go where it's supposed to go, and just trying to see where we are here. Is that facing the right way? I think I have. Maybe I haven't. I haven't, but it's that way. I'm going to have to refer back to the instructions on that. I had a look at the way this goes on, and there it is there. Okay, there we go. So that's one side. So that's going to sit on there like that. Later on, of course. So what I'll do is when I glue this side on, I'll just get that all in position, and then I'll test fit it, make sure that these will be straight, and it's just going to slot down into this spot perfectly like it should. All right. Yeah, so I will continue on with this and get this stuff all glued together, and we'll come back and have a look at it shortly. Cheers. Hey, welcome back. I thought I'd show you a bit of Photo-etch bending tricks and tips. Now, these are some doorways that are from the kit, detail kit. Now, I'll bring that up close so you can see. Focus. Right. Now they're very detailed, and you can see there's the hinges show on here. All the detail. Now, there's a couple of tricks that are worth knowing. When you take these off the sprue, which is this, you need to be able to get right up in there with your knife so that you can try and leave, if possible, no metal on the piece you're taking off. So you need to clip it off really, really close. And then if you do leave anything on there, a little nub at all, you need to file that off. So just using a normal sanding stick slightly across will file them off, and you would just take a piece. Best thing is to run your finger across, and this one's okay, but if you'll feel a little bit of metal in the top there, and it's just a matter of just going across with a file and take that off. The reason why, not only does it look better without it there, but in some cases, folding pieces and having them butt up together and they're folded can be impeded by having that piece of metal there. Now, these doors don't matter so much because if there were any, it'd be on the tops or the bottoms of the doors. But on the edges, it'd be a problem because then they may not close properly. Now, another thing, when bending these, is I have a bending tool here, which is just, this is specifically for the shapes and everything, but you can use just a metal ruler, which I have here somewhere. Just, these do the job as well. Fine. Although this is slightly thicker, and when I was working on small parts, I prefer to use something thinner. And a razor blade. Now, what we do for the doors anyway is where the hinges are, you want to at least hold it down on there, but it doesn't necessarily have to be right to the edge. It's your razor blade that needs to go in underneath there and be right to the edge and start bending it up just a fraction. Now you move it up closer and get right so that the hinges are bent up like that. Now this one's already bent over, and by the time you bend it all the way over and bend it down, it sits perfectly flat against the other piece. In some cases, you don't even need to glue it. You can just leave it like that because this surface is going to get glued to the model anyway. These doors come in 3 sections because they have the option of being opened or closed. So for instance, if I was going to have this as an open door, then that would be the frame of the door that would be glued to the model. This would be the inside of the door that's showing, and then this part, the outside of the door, would be folded back onto the panel, back onto it. So to continue with a fold, because this is going to be a closed door, you would turn it over, turn it around. Now, again, you want to get to that edge. You want to be right on that edge of where those hinges are. Then bring it up and bring it up right in there. So you're bending them from the hinges. Because if you don't, then the door is not going to sit square. Now, if you continue the fold down, put a little pressure on it, lift it up, there we go. So that is perfectly square on the frame. Now, this will need a touch of glue under there, just in each corner, and I use my tiny glue applicator here for touching that in there. The end of a toothpick will do as well, and then you'll see that will get glued straight onto the surface of where you want it. So here's a piece I've prepared. So if you can see that, I've sanded the doors, the original plastic parts that were the doors, off. It's not glued, so I take that off. So that's all been sanded off and flat. So what will happen is, and also a good trick is to use a wax pencil, picking things up. Makes it a lot easier. And turn this the right way around. At this door, simply, when the glue's there, boom. And then you'll have time to just straighten it up. And that's one door in place there. Now the glue I use for these, particularly doors, because you're very rarely going to drop it on and it's going to be in the perfect spot. So the glue I would use, for mine anyway, is this ultra glue I've showed before. You can water it down, make it thinner, and it dries slowly but perfectly clear, clearer than any other CA glue. And you only need to put just 2 drops under there and then place it, and you've got plenty of time to maneuver and position the door so that it's exactly straight and how you want it to be. Yeah, but it's very important to fold these properly. The same goes for little hatches, anything that's in that has a hinge on it. Because what happens if you don't fold it correctly where the hinge is, if you fold it to the door frame side of the hinge, when it goes across, you're going to find that it's not reaching the other side, and it won't actually sit there like it should. Another thing to be careful of is make sure your doors are facing the right direction, opening the right way. Sometimes the instructions can be fairly vague about that. Obviously that one will be fine, and when I put this side on here, if it were to go on the other side, it would turn around and that door would open in that direction. Now if you wanted to, you could have this in the open position. I could bend this one around and have it with an open frame sitting there in open position, but then you're going to have to either put a hole, cut out the entry in there, or you could paint it black, show there's a dark area inside the doorway. So that's probably the easiest and best way. Alright, so I'll continue on with these little bits of photo etch. I've got 1, 2, 3, oh, there it is, 4 doors to do here, and then I've got a couple of lids on a couple of boxes that will go in there as well. Okay, so there you go, it's a little bit of photo etch manipulation there. I'm back shortly. Okay, welcome back again, and progress here we have on this deck here. I've got some of the photo etch on these lids here. We've got some doors on each side. It's glued in. Oh, that's not glued in yet, but it will be. Yeah, that's looking right. Pretty good. There's a couple of walls that go in here on either side, which is what I've got here that I'm doing. And they have these windows that are sort of elongated. You can see those, yeah. So what I'm doing, there's also doors going on there, which I have here. What I'm doing is I'm cutting some clear plastic. I'm going to put, so if you can see, there's a bit of a glint in the light in the windows. So, well, that's the plastic on that side, and that's glued on there. So when you turn it over, that to reflect in the light. There you go. You can see that it's got that glass effect. So I'm going to stick the plastic on either side of those, and then they'll go in place like that. Probably never see them, they're so small, but wherever I can, I'll do that for the windows, particularly if they're an odd shape. Portholes are different. We can put glue in there that dries clear, has the same effect. But yeah, so it's a little bit of clear plastic, and yeah, I'll continue on now. Almost finished. What's this? Step 23 in the instructions. There'll be some stairs that are going to go in that come up through. Well, they go into. There's a deck going on top of here, and there's some stairs that attach in these little points here on either side. I would think that the sprue for that would be this one here. This piece will go up on there. We'll see how that goes on because it overhangs quite a lot, and this all has to be sprayed. So I may actually have to paint this before I put that on top. Anyway, we'll get to that. I'll be back shortly. Okay, welcome back. I'm just planning out the next move here. This is all glued now, and I've got the next piece here. As I mentioned earlier about the windows in here, I forgot I have to take them off because I have to paint this, and then I'll put them back in. So this will have to be painted. The reason is because when you put this on the top, it's there. There's no way I can paint in there. In fact, I don't even know why I put those on top of the containers there because they're completely covered. But anyway, so when that's on, yeah, I need to paint that separately. And then I realized going through the instructions here that on top of this will be another layer, another section to build up. There's actually 4 levels, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll have to paint them as I go. Like I said, top of this we have that to go on, and then it moves across to another level section which will go on top of there, which is, show you, the sprue is this piece, so that'll go on top of that. But then as you see, there's another section there which will need to be built up, which will be in the next page. So that's on that page, is that being built up. And then there's another level again, another platform that goes on top of that, which is that one. So that will go on top of that. And finally, after that one's on, we've got some work to build up parts on that. But that is the top before we go into building the mast. So obviously you can't paint in underneath all these sections, so I'm going to have to undercoat. What I'll do is I'm going to put together each level and all the bits and pieces on it as I go. So for instance, now I'll put this aside, and then I'll start working on this, what I can on there, and then I'll work on the next piece that'll go on top of this, and I'll work up all 4 levels. That way I can go and undercoat and base coat them all at the same time. Another thing I have to consider is the color. Now everything's the navy blue that the ship's going to be, but I would like to have little things on there, like for instance there's little binoculars that go up on here. I've already installed them on this, actually, on there. So afterwards I'll come back and I'll paint them maybe a gunmetal black on there, and the same with this, which I'm not even sure what that is, but I'll paint that separate. And any little pieces of things that may go around on the deck, I'd like to have a separate color to the main color of the ship, just so that they stand out a bit. It's just not going to blend into this navy blue of everything. And I don't know what color I will do those yet. So that will also come down to me deciding what pieces I'll be adding as I build these up. There's some platforms here. There's searchlight. Well, I've already got that, but there's a few little things that will go on the deck, which I'll have to leave off and paint separately if I want to put them on as a different color. But that's the plan. This is where you get to a point where you start making, having a lot of things happening at once. So you'll have stuff painting, different levels of paint going on, and then you'll be back here doing other stuff, and then you've got different colors happening. So yeah, it can get a bit complicated. Another thing I'd like to mention too is while I'm modeling, I listen to podcasts. And there's a few good podcasts out there related to modeling that are worth listening to, and I might mention them. Well, I'll mention one in this episode, and I'll mention them in the next future ones as well. But there's one in particular I listen to called On the Bench. And you can watch them, listen to them on iTunes, Spotify, anything that plays podcasts. But On the Bench, there's a few Aussie guys there that talk about every aspect of scale modeling. Not necessarily a lot on shipbuilding, but it does come up now and then. They talk about new latest release models. They talk about products. They talk about tools. Talk about everything you want to know that's related to modeling in general. But there's just one. I'll leave a link in the description to the podcast, but it's definitely something worth having play in the background while you're working away. It's really, really good. And they're funny guys too. It's quite a good laugh. Anyway, I'll get on with this, and we'll come back and take a look at when I've finished a few of these sections. Okay, back shortly. Okay, I'm back again, and we've got all the different levels all put together now. The one thing I realized before I can paint any of this is I need to do all the railings. And as you can see, there's going to be quite a lot. Now I've started on this piece here. Let's get that in view. So there's a little bit of photo etch on the center there. That whole middle piece can be replaced with photo etch, but it's really a difficult piece to put together, and I think it looks fine as it is. I'm not going to replace that. There's doors on there. There's a bit of piping in photo etch. I've done the railings around here. Where those railings are is, you remember we built this way back. So that's going to go on one of those spots. And then, so it's a bit awkward around the camera here. And then the other spot will have these photo etch, plenty of photo etch on there. So two of those will go on the other two platforms, the railings around them. And I've also got to do all the other levels, of course. And the spotlights, searchlights. I'll paint the searchlights separately because I just want to keep the lenses clear. But having a look in here is all the sections all done, except the railings I'm still going to do. A bit of railing goes around there, possibly around the back here. I'll have to check. There's quite a bit of railings to do, so yeah, I won't be painting these just yet. But as soon as they're done, I'll get them all in undercoat to start with, and we'll have a look. We might even look at doing some of the spraying, film some of that. Okay, back shortly with the next update. Okay, welcome back. We've done all the railings on these sections of the superstructure. We're just going to take a look at them. Quite a bit of work. See, the railings are all the way around on that piece. The piece there was a little bit tricky because this sat down lower, so I had to cut a little bit out of the railing so it would fit. That was all right. Then we got this one, which has all the railings and everything else on it. It's all ready to paint. Yeah, there's nothing more to be added onto that one. That view. Yeah. Put that down. Then we've got this one here. The tape is just holding the plastic for the windows that I'll be putting on this piece after it's painted. And again, got all the railings all the way around. Bits on the back there too. There's not much more to be added. Now, this one is done as well. There was some photo-etch little telescopes on either side there to put in. They were tricky because the instructions for the MK1 kit doesn't actually show them how they go together, or has them clearly in the photo. So I had to figure that out for myself. There's 2 holes on either side here. They will be for the spotlights, which we have in here. Searchlights. I'll paint them separately because I want to keep the lenses clear. More plastic for the windows inside there, for the strips on the side we looked at in the earlier video. I think that's all of it. There are, I noticed on the instructions here for the photo-etch, you've got to really look at the detail and go into these, but I think it was on this one here. There's these little railings there. There's no number for them, so I just assumed they weren't included in the kit. But they are there, so I'll be putting those down on there. There's also some little like little platforms coming off the side, and some little aerials that aren't numbered in here as being included, but they are actually on the sprue. They are actually there, so I'll be putting those bits and pieces on, and then I'll be undercoating these today. Now, I probably won't be painting the base coat today. I'm going to make sure this undercoat gets good sets properly. So that'll be it. So the next time we come back, it'll be to look at these completely painted up. Okay, back shortly. Hey, welcome back. I know I said you'd be back to see all the bits painted, but I've decided to continue with the other tower instead, and it's almost done now. Ladders and everything in place. We've just got to add a couple more railings in here, and that'll be finished. And then I'll paint. So the next video I release, we'll go through all the painting of all these parts. I may actually video and tape and record the actual painting process. So anyway, thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit those notifications so you can get hit the bell so you get notifications of when my videos are released. Give us a thumbs up if you liked it. Comment below. Always welcome comments. Whatever you want to say. You've got questions, you got tips, anything, just put them in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Okay, thank you very much. Bye for now.